I'm going to talk to you about making your own panels with the recipe that Leonardo da Vinci used. Now this recipe goes back to the pre-Renaissance, really. Cennino Cennini wrote a book called Il Libro dell'Arte, the Craftsman's Handbook, and it's still available today on Amazon, and I'll show you a copy in a little bit. And I learned this from Frank Mason when I studied with Frank Mason in New York. We made our own panels, and it makes an exquisite panel. You know, even Albrecht Dürer, all the great masters, use this recipe, and it's made with rabbit skin glue. I have a bag of rabbit skin glue here, and chalk. You know, it's calcium carbonate, which I'll talk about, and I'll show you, I'll demonstrate this. But it's a recipe where when the 8 coats are put on a panel, which I have a birch veneer plywood, and I'll put 8 coats on here, and then I'll sand it and then put a final coat of glue to seal it, and we'll show you all of that. And this is an excellent panel, and the oil paint, when you paint on it, will marry with the panel. It becomes part of the gesso. And unlike acrylic gesso, which is like painting on a plastic surface, because really, you know, an oil painting can be peeled right off of an acrylic gesso. It's really terrible for the artist to paint on. So I'll talk about it, show you how I measure it out, and we'll go from there. Okay. Here's the 15th century book written by Cennino Cennini. Here's my glue. See, I got it from Kremer in New York. And then what I did, I put it in my scale here. I'm measuring it out because it's 15 ounces of water to 1 ounce of glue. And I measure it out on here, and then I'll put it in my pot. And then I'll put the water. This is a double recipe. And then I'll put water in there and let it soak overnight. And then tomorrow I'll put it on the hot plate and heat it up till the glue dissolves. And then I'll put the chalk in. I have a can here of my chalk. See, it's calcium carbonate. That's all. You can even put marble dust in it. You could put eggshells in it, you know, makes it whiter, a little bit harder. And we'll do 8 coats, and this is the wood. This is a birch veneer plywood. You could use MDF board if you like. And so let's get on with it. Okay. So I'm going to brush it on here. I'll do the long way first. I'm going to cover this whole panel. We're going to do 8 coats of this. So we'll alternate the direction of each layer. So this is all there is to it. Just chalk and glue. I'm going to turn this camera off so I can continue. So I've got the first coat on. I put a coat on every half hour. I give it a half hour to set up, and then I put another coat on. So I can get 8 coats on within 4 hours, and then the following day is when I sand the panels and then seal them. So we'll do that too. And you know, you have to remember or realize that the Dutch painted on panels like this. And the government actually had to approve of the panels in order for them to be sold to the artists, because there was a quality control that had to be met. And but it's very simple to do. And I once gave a workshop on this. I had 15 students, and only 3 of them decided to make panels because all the others thought it was too much work. And frankly, two of those three people ended up selling panels to everybody else. Here's a painting I did on a panel. This is The Last Judgment. It's 4 by 8 foot panel. It's on, actually it's on a 1/4 inch plywood. And I not only gessoed this panel, but I gessoed the back also so it didn't warp. And if a panel gets pretty large, that's what you have to do. But you can see, the reason for painting on a panel is you can get sharper brushwork where you want it, and sharper than on a canvas. It's a different kind of a look. And if you look at the great Dutch painters, the still life painters, the floral painters, you know, they loved the panel, and you could really get a good brush stroke on it. And oftentimes they'd build up the painting in black and white like I did here, and then glaze on it, glaze color on it, have different layers of color. Another painting done on a panel, it's a painting of teacups. So I could get pretty nice and sharp with that. Get a different quality, as you can see. This is on canvas. This dog is on a panel. I really could get into the hair, you know, the brush strokes on the hair. And then I did a still life here. It's on a panel, so you can see the detail I can get on with that. And then I also have a floral over here. This is a 24 by 30 inch panel. The landscape on a panel, or we maybe call it a seascape. It's painted in Maine. The painting of St. Mary's Church on Polish Hill in Pittsburgh on a panel. You see, you can really draw with the brush and get really nice, crisp quality. And then I also built up the paint, which you can see. Got some 400 sandpaper. You see, 400 because it's very fine. And I have the panel ready to sand. So I put it on a block here, wrap the sandpaper around it. And then we're simply going to start sanding till it's really smooth. And then after that, I'm going to put a tone and a glue size on it to seal it. I'll probably put 2 coats of that, and I'll show you how I do that. But now I've got to sand this really smoothly, so you know there'll be a lot of dust from it. The old masters, somehow they had a scraper, and they would scrape the panel. But sandpaper works just fine. Just get the 400 sandpaper. Okay, now I'm going to put the glue on. I'm going to put the glue on that'll seal the panel. So I made this glue, 30 ounces of water to 1 ounce glue. But of course I made a small recipe. So, you know, you divide it in half and divide it in half and whatever. It's because I don't want a big batch of glue here. And so I put my dry pigment in there. This is some pigment called Pompeii Red, which is a beautiful color, sort of like a Terra Rosa. And I like that to come through the painting, you know. So we'll seal the panel with this. And we'll take this big brush here. And I let the glue cool a little bit. I'm going to end up putting like 2 coats on here. Well, some of this glue didn't dissolve all the way, but that's okay. So I'm going to brush this on and make a nice tone. And like I said, it'll be there'll be 2 coats. It seems 2 coats works really well. And it's diluted enough where the paint will grab the panel. See, if the glue's too strong, it'll just slide. It'll slip on the panel. And we don't want that. So I think I'll just scrape those off later. Okay, so I'm going to do these panels, and then I'll do a second coat, and then that'll be it. So I'm going to put attachments in on how you make this whole process from the gesso to the glue sealer, and you'll be able to print that out. And you'll be able to print out a picture of the book.